Hey, A30. This is going to be our April Raintree video on Chapter 1, guiding questions for your summaries. And so they're not questions you answer straight out like you normally do. These are just questions that you would use to guide you as you write your summary and just to keep you on track as you're ensuring that you have the plot, the characters, the themes, the key events that are taking place in that chapter as you write your summary. So today, this is day 1. We went over the 7 questions. I'll do that again for day 2 tomorrow. And just in case those who haven't seen the video, they can pick that up. I'm also going to give chapter 2 questions as it's coming up to the weekend, and at least that'll give you a head start. So we'll get chapter 1 done in class, as I did for day 1 today, and then day 2 tomorrow, because we have our new assignment as well, reflection journals, page 15 to 18 in your course outline booklet. And so if you were away for that discussion, if you have any questions about it, please ask. It's pretty straightforward, but there might be some questions about parallelism that you may have, or the, well, that might be the one right there that might have the most questions. And possibly the question regarding the Brian Miracle quote. So, and maybe some learning styles, the very first journal entry that you're doing. So if you have any questions, just write a comment under the assignment, reflection journals, and I can comment back to you. So I'm going to read the questions. I'm not going to post it. This is a good opportunity for you to work on your listening skills. And if you have to pause, rewind, or whatever the case, and you can transfer this to a piece of loose leaf and have it as your guiding questions as you write your summary. If you want to answer the question straight out as part of your summary, you can do that too. But you will be missing some other key points as well. So if you can insert that somehow, please do so. But like I said, this is these questions are guiding questions. Okay, and let's get going, I guess. So chapter 1 questions, and like I said, pause if you need to, rewind if you have to. So number 1 is, how do you think April and Cheryl felt when they were taken from their family? Okay, and I've already warned you ahead of time. This is a very powerful book, so be sure that you are keeping that in mind as you read. Right off the top, April, the narrator, gets into talking about memories, how they're fleeting, and how we want to hold on to those good memories, but forget the bad memories. But all those memories define who we are, and then it decides whether the big question is whether or not we grow from those and move forward from those memories, use them as strength instead of a part of that fear factoring and letting it conquer us. We need to conquer the fear itself. Number 2, why did the social worker come to the Raintree house in the first place? Number 3, did the nuns have the right to cut off Cheryl and April's hair? What was their reasoning for doing so? And hair, the growing of hair in many cultures, especially indigenous cultures, it's a rite of passage. They grow their hair for many, many years, and it's part of their identity and their who they are. And to have somebody else cut that off, it strips them of that identity of who they are and who they are going to be. So and other cultures incorporates hair in many other different ways. So you could probably understand or comprehend the significance of hair. And even if hair is not symbolic culturally, it is part of who you are as a person. You know, like this do here. I actually wanted to have my hair, you know, slick it back and then kind of just comb it back, and you know, I think that looks cool. That's just me. Anyways, but I was not allowed to have that hairstyle, so got to keep the peace, right? So I got this one. That's not bad. It's pretty easy to fix up. Anyways, I digress. Number 4, nobody really explained to Cheryl and April what was happening. How would you feel in their situation? So again, this brings to our attention again, you know, the 60s scoop, the residential schools, day schools, where children were ripped from their family by government agents and then told to forget their culture, their language, who they were. They were going to become more Euro-centric individuals. And so that was part of that assimilation process. And so place yourself in April and Cheryl's shoes as they are being forced to assimilate into the Euro social culture that's in place. Number 5, why did the nuns separate the sisters? Do you agree or disagree with this action, and explain? And that was quite common too. A lot of siblings were separated during the 60s scoop and the residential schools and things like that. A lot of families were broken up because of it, and it took decades to reunite a lot of families too. And reunite or reacquaint yourself with your culture, identity, and language. Number 6, how do you think Henry Raintree, their father, felt as he stood outside the orphanage? Why did he simply stand there staring at the building rather than enter? So take a look at the living conditions that April and Cheryl were in, what their parents were going through, and then when their children were taken away from them, why did their father just stand at the orphanage and not to try to get his kids back? Number 7, what did you notice about the nuns' reaction to April at the bottom of page 10? So most of you should have that reference exactly, unless you have a different version of the April Raintree. So the page number might be off just by a little bit, but when you get to the nuns' reaction to April, then you'll know what I'm referring to there. And so you can incorporate that into your summary as well. So that's chapter 1. Chapter 2, and I said I'd try to do this, and I will. So let's go to chapter 2 now. And day 1 students will not have received this, and or sorry, day 1, and then of course day 2 will get it ahead of time. But here are the chapter 2 questions, and I think if I do 2 chapters at a time per video, I think that should help you stay ahead of the game. Any feedback, please let me know, and if there's some information that I can add to these summaries or these questions, maybe some experiences that would be applicable to help others understand this novel better, please let me know. Chapter 2, question 1 is, throughout the story, adults lie in an attempt to protect children. Do you think this is right? Okay, and focus on one of the lies that hurt Cheryl and April, especially with the families they were set up with when they were separated. So take a look at that. Number 2, explain how April felt the first day of school. She's separated from Cheryl, now they're going to school. Like, how does April feel on that first day of school without her sister? Number 3, Why was April so glum or sad or downtrodden on a trip to Winnipeg to visit her parents? There were some visitations required, but some of them were either they had to be on site or they had a weekend visit or things like that. So it depended on the what they were allowed to do and whether or not they could receive a pass from the government agent to see their kids. Lots of rules and regulations that prevented the parents to see their children again, and that's, you know, that's just our dark history that we have. And so part of the reconciliation process is to acknowledge that and find a way to heal so we can move forward. Do you think the social worker would have listened to Cheryl's fears? This is still question number 3. And what would you have done if you were the social worker? Okay, that's an interesting approach too. Number 4, what did Mrs. Semple say that upset April and made her feel sad? It's around page 18. Does this sound like an attitude a social worker should have? And, you know, why or why not? The big question is, how should social workers help those in need? So is this social worker representing contradiction of what a social worker is all about, and what they should be doing to helping people instead of hindering them. Number 5, why didn't Cheryl cry when the car drove away, leaving her family behind? That's again, that's going to be interesting because both sisters deal with their circumstances differently, so you're going to see a unique dynamic of how April handles her circumstances compared to the way Cheryl handles her circumstances. Number 6, what words of advice did Mrs. Dion give April that she in turn told Cheryl? There'll be a part where both sisters will have the same type of advice by Mrs. Dion. Number 7, in your opinion, was Mrs. Dion supportive of Cheryl? Okay, so it'd be interesting to see if there was somebody that was an advocate for Cheryl. Why not April? Okay, or is she an advocate of April? We'll have to see. And number 8, what kind of person is Mrs. Dion? So is she a type of person that is looking out for the best interests of the two sisters, or does she have another hidden agenda that she's presenting to the reader? So that's chapter 1 and 2 questions, and you can certainly like I said, rewind, pause, whatever you need to. Use those questions as guiding questions as you write your summaries for chapters 1 and 2. And I've had one student already show me her chapter 1 summaries, very organized, and it's laid out. She even referenced some page numbers for specific references that she used to highlight her summaries. So that's a really good habit to get into because you're already now doing in-text citation. So if you can incorporate specific page numbers where you make a direct reference in your summary, that would be a good way to practice this in-text citation, especially when you are working on your tourism project, which is due May 31st. Reflection journals, the new assignment is due Monday for day 1 and Tuesday for day 2. And that's page 15 to 18. It's on Google Classroom, so please check it out. And Canada 1K is done. Day 2 has their due date tomorrow. So actually it's officially done tomorrow. And so get that into Google Classroom or into the Classroom directly and submit that. I think that's right. Yep. So May 6th is day 1. May 7th is day 2 for Canada 1K. And I also have the April Raintree assignment set up so that you can send comments as it pertains to the novel. So be sure you're clicking on the right link and not confusing things there. If you haven't chosen your city for tourism project, please get that sent in to me so I can put it on the board for you, or you can do that day 2. You can do that tomorrow and get that done. Looks like it's mainly day 2 that needs to get their cities put up there. And just to clarify, Kelowna, Canmore, Calgary, Toronto, Banff, Drumheller, Vancouver, Ottawa, and the BC Lower Mainland. So all those cities like Abbotsford, Langley, Surrey, all those kind of places are taken. So you can't do the BC mainland now. So basically, BC's pretty much done, unless there's another place that you can focus on. I think that's about it. All right, so we'll see day 2 on Friday. Day 1, you've got the weekend and your off days to work on tourism, April Raintree, and reflection journals. And of course, day 2, you'll have the weekend, just the weekend, and your Monday to work on all that stuff. All right, take care, be safe.